Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's video I'd like to follow on what I was talking about in the last MTPredictor video that I did earlier in the week, talking about multi-time frame analysis, in other words where we use the higher time frame charts to put our DP support and resistance zones on the chart for you. Another great example unfolded on the ES yesterday. So this is a chart of the ES. You can see it gap down, rally back up again, chop sideways. We had an automatic DP sell a bit later in the day. Actually, this was on a blue STF. And if you remember from the last video, I was saying that rather than looking at the STF color, which is what we encourage people to do when they're new, we want to move you away from that to some leading indicators that can provide support and resistance areas in advance. Now for this we go to the higher time frame chart. If you remember in the last video I said that we use between 3 and 5 time frames higher. So for a 3-minute chart we'd go out to the 15-minute chart. For a daily we'd go out to the weekly. If you're say trading Forex on 15-minute chart, you'd go out to the hourly. Now the good thing about these is they are on the chart in advance. In other words, these are leading zones of support and resistance. To place them on the chart is relatively straightforward. We basically look to the last pivot swing high or low, and then if that succeeded we go to the last major swing pivot high or low. So before the market even opened yesterday, you can see this is the open yesterday, which was February the 19th. So I want to stress this, even before the market even opened, you'd have gone back to this last pivot, because this pivot here was the last swing up into this this high. So you'd have gone back to this pivot, place the DP on. Now that would have been on the chart before the market even opened, and as you can see the market came down, and that basically nailed the low of the day for you. As the market started to rally up, you see it started to rally up here, and this pivot was then put in place. We then go back to the last swing pivot, so this will be the last swing down into this low. So we go back to this pivot high, right mouse click, place the DP on. And again, this would have been on the chart before the market even got there. I can't stress enough that these are leading indicators. So let's now go down to the 3-minute chart and just see how that would have helped you. If I zoom out a bit, you can see that 15-minute DP nailed the very low of the day for you. Then that next 15-minute DP nailed the very high of the day for you. In other words, you caught the low and the high of the day yesterday in advance with our 15-minute DP support zones. I mean, that's absolutely fantastic to be able to know these kind of levels in advance. Obviously these don't work that well every single day. It would be great if they do. All trading is a matter of probabilities, and we all have to know and understand that. So how would that have helped you in your trading? Well, there's a couple of trades you could have done off this. There's one gap trade that we actually like. You probably can just about see the little letters down there. It says inside gap down. Now what we tend to play is we tend to play a gap play, and we know that inside gaps, in other words a market that opens here on the USE minis this is, and gaps inside the prior day's high and low, in other words inside the prior day's range, tends to trade back to the previous day's close. But of course you need to know an area of where that reversal is likely to happen. So we can put the show high-low close, which basically places the previous day's high-low and close on the charts for you. You can see actually that low there was just also a little spike below the previous day's low. So many amateur traders would have seen yesterday there the market go down below the previous day's low and look to be a seller. Of course we knew that there was DP support there, so that would have prevented you going short at the low of the day, which is obviously not a good trade to take. In other words, you knew that there was support there for MTPredictor. So how would you have played this? Well, there was a blue buy bar there, so if you place the manual risk reward on above the blue buy bar, stop just below the low with your target at the previous day's close, or perhaps one tick below, you can see that the market rallied up to that level very nicely, and you could have had a potential 2.6 hour profit. So that would have been one way to play that move into the previous day's close, in other words filling the gap after our 15-minute support zone. Let's just take that risk reward analysis off. The next way to do it is by knowing the large degree trend. So in other words, we knew the large degree trend of this level was up into that next resistance area, so you'd be looking for long setups. Now there weren't any long setups on the 3-minute chart, but then after that, actually I'll just take that high-low close off so it's not confusing things. But then after this, you knew that the large trend was down. It was down off the 15-minute resistance area. Can you see that? That's our 15-minute resistance, nailing the high of the day. Large trend is down. Therefore, the more experienced users would know that you can take short trades, in other words, against the blue STF. So in other words, once the market came up and gave us a short trade here, this DP sell, you could have taken this particular trade. Let's place the analysis on here. Market came down right into our DP target area. The STF was weak, you see less than our strength band, therefore you look to come out at the target, and that was a nice 2.2R profit. So in other words, when we look at the multi-time frame analysis, we can get our higher time frame support and resistance zones. Remember, they are on the chart in advance, so they're there before the market even gets there, preparing you for these levels. And then the move off these can then define the large degree trend. In this particular case, the large degree trend was down after that high, so that allowed you to take that DP sell, and also we actually managed to get a nice trade in off that rally there into the previous day's close. So there's quite a lot you can do with MTPredictor once you become a little bit more experienced. So in other words, I don't want you just to come into the software and just look at our automatic setups and say that's it. There's far more you can do with the software, particularly when you get it more experienced and come into our training webinars, where in particular when we look at this multi-time frame analysis to look at the support and resistance on our higher time frames. And as you can see, what a great job they did on the ES yesterday, where we actually nailed, again in advance, this is the key, these levels were on the chart in advance, we nailed the very low of the day and nailed the very high of the day for you. So a great way to actually set up your trading with MTPredictor yesterday.